computer hardware and equipment, and we're looking at that purchase, so often we get so hung up on things like processors and memory and hard drive space, and yeah, that's all really important, but what about the one part of our system that we use all the time? It's our display. So what I thought I'd do is put together a short video for you about how to choose and how to buy a good monitor. And so there's some things that you need to consider before you go out and buy one. The first thing is determine what the primary use of that display is going to be. Are you going to be using it primarily for videos, photography, maybe working in Photoshop? You're going to be using business apps. It's important to know this and write this down in part of your decision making. The next, do I need a regular format display or one of the new widescreen models? Now the widescreens now are in a ratio of 16 to 9, which is true high definition. It's going to be outstanding for watching DVDs, movies. It's also a great productivity tool. You can put maybe two different windows on the same screen. Maybe have your word processor open in one window and your web browser in another. The next thing, do I need multiple monitors? Again, a big productivity enhancer is something that I'm going to be doing in the very near future, is I'll be running two 22-inch displays. That way I can have more windows open, more applications open on the same desktop. Need to understand if your current graphics card can support these higher resolution monitors. Just because the monitor supports a higher resolution doesn't mean the graphics card in your computer may support that, so you want to look into that. You also need to understand the specs or the key features of the monitor, which I'm going to cover in just a minute. Also have to determine what connectors am I going to need. Am I going to need a VGA connector or what's called a DVI connector? Finally, I'm going to look at, well, not finally, but I'm going to look at the price. You know, how much does this thing cost? And of course, how do I dispose of my old monitor? So let's talk about some of the key features. Well, the first thing is called native resolution. This is the number of pixels that your monitor can display on the LCD panel. Now, typically in 17 to 19-inch monitors, those use a resolution of 1280 by 1024 pixels. The 23 to 24-inch widescreen monitors use 1920 by 1200 pixels, and your big 30-inch monitors is 2560 by 1600 pixels. So that packs a lot of detail on that display. There's more icons, more windows. It's a sharper looking display. The next specification you'll hear a lot is called the aspect ratio. It used to be the widescreen monitors were at 16 to 10 aspect ratio, but now it's 16 to 9. As I said earlier, it gives you more of a it's true high definition quality, as well as a real productivity enhancer. Now remember, an LCD size is measured diagonally, just like the old cathode ray tube monitors are measured. The next thing is the viewing angle measurement. Now this is basically done by looking at the center of the monitor, looking left to right, up and down, and at what point the image quality deteriorates to where it's not usable. Anything is measured in degrees. Anything less than 150 degrees should not be considered, and 180 is typically the maximum. The next is to look at what's called the contrast ratio. Now that's the difference between the brightest white on a display and the darkest black. Now ratios of 400:1 or greater is considered to be of good quality. So the higher the better. The next is brightness. Now this is measured in candelas per square meter. Gets real technical, but the bottom line is that's how much light, the brightest light, is this thing putting out. And typically a ratio of it's 250 candelas per meter or greater is considered to be good. Now remember, a lot of vendors ship these monitors with the brightness cranked up way high, and that may make video look really stunning for a while, but what's going to happen is going to cause a lot of eye strain. You'll probably want to back the brightness down. The next is, do I have a digital or do I want an analog connection? Digital is almost always going to win. There's two types of digital connections. DVI-D for digital, and DVI-I, which is an analog, but you'll need a converter from the output of your VGA port on your computer to the DVI-I connector. You also want to look at special ports on the monitor, special inputs such as S-video, memory cards. You may want composite or component video if you're may want to plug DVD player, video games into the system as well. The next thing is called response time. Now it's measured in two different ways. Rise and fall response time and gray to gray response time. Now rise and fall is basically how long it takes a black pixel to go totally white, and the faster response time, the better picture quality you're going to have. Now the other response time is called gray to gray. How long does it take a pixel to turn from one shade of gray to another? Now there's a very definite industry standard on rise and fall, but there's not on gray to gray, so keep that in mind. Finally, the physical size of the monitor. Make sure you look at your desktop. That's why I'm thinking maybe two smaller monitors might be a better way for people to go, say 2 17-inchers than one 24-inch, because it's just the sheer size of it. It's one of the problems I have with this iMac 24-inch. It's got a really big bezel on it. It's 24 inches. It doesn't go up or down. It will tilt. So take a look at does the display tilt side to side, up and down? Maybe it can pivot into portrait mode. See how important all that sort of thing is to you. Will it fit comfortably on my desktop? Will I have to cran my neck to see this thing? Also very important. Remember, try the monitor before you buy. Look, if you're going to buy on the web and you're going to go online, make sure, doggone sure, that the seller has a unconditional refund policy. You're going to have to live with this thing for a long time. You stare at it maybe for hours on end. Invest the money to get a good quality monitor. And finally, when it's time to get rid of your old monitor, just don't throw it in the trash. Make sure that you recycle that monitor properly. I'm Bruce Naylor of FrugalTech. We always welcome your comments and your input. Enjoy hearing from you. Email me at support@frugalbrothers.com. You can also catch these videos on the FrugalTech show at frugalbrothers.com. Also the FTA radio show. Leave your comments on YouTube. We always love to hear from you. I'm Bruce Naylor of FrugalTech, and I'll talk to you later.